Okay, this Barcelona team are a problem and everyone should be scared. I mean, this team has been through it all. No money, no stadium, no players, no problem. And it's all down to one man's madness. After losses to PSG and Chelsea and then a damaging draw at Club Brugge, everyone believed Barcelona just didn't have what it took to succeed in Europe anymore.
When you look at how they're playing and how this Barcelona team are playing, if one of these two wins the league, and that's the likely scenario, one of the worst champions in recent history, because they're both terrible.
From a Barca perspective, again, it shows how far behind a first team PSG you still are. And we're talking a lot about structure, about Barcelona's lack of it.
This is who Barca are with 11 men. Don't kid yourself.
Fast forward 8 games later and somehow Hansi Flick found a way to get this team into a top 8 finish ahead of both PSG and Chelsea, even Real Madrid. Isn't football just ironic? But this story isn't about them. It's about one man and one system that is defying all the laws of football at Barcelona. This doesn't just bend football logic, it ignores it completely. In this video, we're going to trace the journey, the chaos, the collapses, and the tactical genius behind Barcelona's mysterious rise against all odds through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. But before all of the madness, we need to go back to where it all began. Barcelona opened their Champions League campaign as big favourites following a brilliant run in the previous season. And for large spells, they looked every bit the part. They dominated Newcastle right in their own backyard to secure the first win of the season.
Rashford's going to shoot. Oh, what a goal that is! What a goal!
But despite the dominant display, Anthony Gordon's last-minute consolation made the scoreline appear somewhat respectable and perhaps flattered Newcastle's performance on the night. But more importantly, it exposed something deeper. Barcelona were still vulnerable, still open, still haunted by the same defensive demons that had denied them a place in last season's final. 2 weeks later, those demons became real. After a fiercely contested first half,
Rashford, it's Ferran Torres! Chance to level the game here, and the chance taken. PSG level.
Barcelona collapsed. The structure fell apart, the spaces widened, and PSG punished them ruthlessly.
Ramos is square. Could this be the winner?
This defeat was followed days later by a 4-1 humiliation against Sevilla in the league, still widely regarded as Barcelona's worst performance of the season. That's when the alarm bells started to ring and everyone wondered if Hansi Flick's infamous second season curse was slowly beginning to unravel.
It's the sort of things that Levante exposed against Barcelona earlier this season. Now, I'm not talking about giant killers in La Liga, I'm talking about teams that are struggling in La Liga, and yet they created opportunities and scored goals against Barcelona.
But come match day 3, Barcelona responded emphatically. They breezed past 10-man Olympiacos in a game that saw Fermin Lopez score his first hat-trick for the club, as well as a second brace for Marcus Rashford in the Champions League.
Rashford, the touch is nice! Oh,
and for one night, Barcelona were flying again. But this was a roller coaster and the drop was coming.
Finger to Bellingham. Mbappe's in behind here, and yes, he makes it count again. Season lost out there though. This could be a problem. Cut back, and there's the equaliser. Fermin Lopez gets the byline. Can't quite cut it back. Still in play, man. Jude. Alston's there now. It's turned in. Jude Bellingham on the back.
A league defeat to Real Madrid followed by a series of injuries, most notably the loss of the new goalkeeper Joan Garcia, meant that by matchday 4, Barcelona arrived in Belgium low on confidence and short on belief. And it showed. The night ended in another disappointment as Hansi Flick's men narrowly escaped with a draw that felt like a defeat. Something needed to change, or did it? I mean, just when we thought the worst was over, Barcelona completely capitulated at Stamford Bridge, losing 3-0 to Chelsea. Even Araujo had to take a mental break from football entirely. Frankie de Jong seemed too scared to face the press. Barcelona weren't just losing games, they were losing themselves. They weren't even halfway through the season, yet this was already one of the worst defensive runs we've seen in years. They just couldn't stop conceding. It seemed the problem was obvious, and even more so the solution. Hansi Flick needed to ditch the high line and everything would be fine. So we thought, but the German had other plans. This is where the real madness began.
We can make it like this, that we make a low block and then we defend in the last third. Or we go on our way, our philosophy, how we want to do it, and make things much better. This, we struggle a little bit, we have not the confidence, and of course we can speak about to change everything, but I'm not a coach to change this, because we want to play like our DNA is, and we don't want to defend in a low block and then make maybe some transition to win 1-0. We came back after every goal, so this is a positive thing, but we have to speak about this match.
Now, going into match day 6 in the Champions League, this wasn't just another game. It marked Barcelona's return to the Camp Nou after more than 3 years. And more importantly, it was the night that would define their true European identity. Despite falling behind in the 21st minute, Hansi Flick's men returned in the second half with one simple rule: attack. And what followed defied modern football logic. This wasn't structure, it was conviction. 10 attackers and 1 goalkeeper, fullbacks inverting into half spaces, relentless vertical movement. Barcelona didn't try to play around Frankfurt, they played through them. In 8 minutes, the game was turned on its head.
Rashford's lovely ball in, what a fabulous ball! Put away by Jules Koundé.
Jules Koundé, of all people, scoring twice and becoming the first Barcelona player to score a brace of headers in the Champions League as the game ended 2-1 in favour of Hansi Flick's men. 2 headers, 1 statement, Barcelona were back. By match day 7, the picture was clear. Barcelona had hit top gear, and despite a brief slip that saw them drop points against Real Sociedad in the league, Barcelona were perfect since Chelsea. Hansi Flick's attacking madness was working and no one could understand it. The game against Slavia Prague finished 4-2 in favour of Barcelona, and while they were stuck at 15th place in the Champions League table, the only thing keeping them away from a top 8 finish was goals. And suddenly it made sense. Hansi Flick's master plan was genius, because they might concede, but if there was one metric in which this Barcelona side excelled, it was goals. No one in Europe scored like them. So against 28th placed Copenhagen at the Camp Nou, and with the other sides facing much tougher opposition, the final match day looked poised to be a favourable one for Barca. The task was simple, at least on paper: score, outscore, survive. And just like so many nights before, Barcelona went behind early, but also, as so many nights before, Barcelona rose to the occasion. I mean, there is a reason why we are now called second half FC. Marc Bernal came on for Eric Garcia, Barcelona reverted back into the usual 4-2-3-1, and the attacking machine was up and running again. Bernal played like a man possessed, and Dani Olmo felt more comfortable having a ball-playing pivot beside him. So against Copenhagen's disciplined mid-block, there was only one solution: time the runs in behind and strike before the block could reset. And that is exactly how the comeback began. Now look, when the move starts, Copenhagen are already set in the mid-block. But look far across to the right, Lamine Yamal had his hands up asking for the ball. This was evidently rehearsed. Gerard Martin begins to switch and actually acknowledges the signal from Lamine to let him know the ball was coming. He releases the ball to Marc Bernal, who understands he isn't the one to make the pass. No, this pass required the right-footed pivot, and so he in turn releases the ball to Dani Olmo. Now it's time to make the run, and Lamine Yamal recognizes this. Soon as he's about to take off, Dani Olmo wastes no time in releasing the through ball, and suddenly Copenhagen's press is broken. Lamine Yamal races into the box, gets to the ball before the on-rushing goalkeeper, cuts it back for Lewandowski to finish into a gaping goal. Brilliant tactic, brilliant execution, Barcelona are back in the game. But with the scoreline level, Barcelona were sitting 13th in the table. The margins were brutal and there was still work to be done. Hansi Flick's men responded with one of the most relentless attacking spells Barcelona had produced in Europe all season. They moved the ball at frightening speed, forcing the Danish side to constantly shift to maintain the mid-block. That's when Flick's idea revealed itself, and within 12 minutes, Barcelona got in front for the first time in the game.
And it's been taken.
Again, as the play begins, look at the relative positions of Barcelona's backline. Balde is almost in the offensive third. Just like we saw in the first goal, the idea is to drag the opponent to one side of the pitch and strike before they recover. Now, as the pass is about to be played to Rafinha, there's an overload in Copenhagen's press. Remember, this is where Hansi Flick's Barca are different. They don't try to play around you, they want to play straight through you. This is why Balde is so important at his best, because he's the one that starts the move. He combines with Rafinha and Lewandowski to play right through the press. By the time he gets out, look at all the space on the right side of attack. This isn't chaos, it's repetition. Now remember, the key here is to put the defenders on the back foot, so while they're scrambling, we can see the gaps in behind them. Now call this luck if you want, but we've seen this time and time again. From Lamine Yamal against Atletico last season, and then Rafinha against Real Madrid in the cup final.
Oh, it's deflected.
Hansi Flick's Barcelona are just different. They're not looking for the perfect goal. They just want a sight of goal and they pull the trigger. Eric Garcia did this earlier in the game and was so unlucky to be denied by the crossbar. This time, fortune aligned with intent. Lamine Yamal strikes, it takes a wicked deflection. Goalkeeper is caught completely off guard. Ball lands in the back of the net. Barcelona are in the top 8. Now, it didn't stop there. Hansi Flick's madness doesn't allow for comfort, because elsewhere in Europe, the pressure was mounting. Real Madrid, PSG, Newcastle all knocking on the door as well. Barcelona needed certainty, they needed distance, and that's exactly what they got. 9 minutes later, the same pattern appears again. The move starts on the left, Copenhagen shift, Barcelona make the switch, the defensive structure unravels again. Now the two pivots combine to get the ball over to Lamine on the right. Koundé makes a decoy run that draws the defender away. Lamine Yamal capitalizes, lofts the ball into Lewandowski, and to be honest, at first glance, this looked a bit soft. But these are the modern laws of the game. Suzuki sticks out a leg and doesn't get the ball. Lewandowski recognizes this mistake and takes advantage of it. The referee had no choice but to point to the spot. Rafinha steps up and confidently dispatches into the bottom right corner. Barcelona are no longer chasing qualification, they're commanding it. Now let's talk about the icing on the cake. Guys, ever since Lionel Messi's departure from the club, we've struggled to find another player who can deliver with free kicks. I mean, we saw what Declan Rice did to Real Madrid last season. Elite teams do not rely solely on one method. They weaponize everything. And the one area we seem to still be lacking both defensively and in attack is set pieces. Well, on the night, Marcus Rashford added a new layer to Barcelona's attack. And I was happy for him because I've been critical of Rashford in recent games. Well, this time he actually wins the free kick himself. Stands over the ball, the strike is clean, precise and unstoppable. Look at that smile of validation and relief. Barcelona seal the win. They end up not just in the top 8, but in the top 5. This wasn't luck, this wasn't momentum, and it certainly wasn't caution. This was Hansi Flick refusing to compromise. While others tightened up, he doubled down. Others protected results, he chased down goals. While Europe demanded control, Hansi Flick chose chaos. Organized, rehearsed, deliberate chaos. And somehow it worked. Now make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments. Tell me how you are feeling and how confident you are going into the round of 16. I will catch you again for more insights and tactical analysis as our season progresses. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? It's literally free. Keep your notifications on so you catch the next one when it drops. Until then guys, see you soon, and Visca El Barca.